Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we're going to be taking a look at a very hot Finch knife, one that's not available for purchase yet, but it will be in December, and that is none other than the Finch Knife Company Drifter. Now, before I go any further into this review, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. Now, let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife right here. We have an overall length of 6.4 inches with a blade length coming in at 2.75 inches, a cutting edge right around 2.65 inches, and a blade width coming in at 0.87 inches. We have a blade thickness on this guy of 0.12 inches, a blade material of 154 cm, a very attractive, very classy clip point style blade, a flat grind, a handle length coming in at 3.66 inches, a handle thickness of 0.51 inches, and a handle width of 0.82 inches coming in right around the Finch logo. We have snakewood handle material with a liner locking mechanism with a very solid lockup indeed, and we have a user of a right hand only tip up carry, a weight coming in right around, the battery on my scale died again, so it's right around that 3.2 to 3.4 ounces, so not too bad, and a price coming in at $129. Now, let's take a look at some size comparisons here, because this is a very nice little knife. Definitely not something I would consider a big knife. I would consider this a small knife, so we'll compare it here with the Spyderco Little Native. As you can see right there, a little bigger than the Little Native, but not quite as long as the CJRB Rhea. Very much in the middle of those two. I think that is a very good indicator of the length of this guy, because I thought this was going to be a bigger knife. When I saw the pictures of it and I saw that design, I thought, okay, this has got to be probably a 3 to 3.25 inch blade, and it's not. It is a little smaller, and it borders that line of fifth pocket and primary carry, and it can be whatever you want it to be. That's the great thing. But there's that, and we have one more group here, a couple of my other favorite Finch knives, and we'll get them out here. This is the Finch 1929, model 1929, and we also have the Finch Devil's Finger. These three right here, don't mean to spoil it for everyone, because I probably won't make a list for my favorite three, but in my opinion, these are my three favorite Finch knives. I really do love these three, and I'm really torn right now of which one I like the most. It's either the Devil's Finger or the Drifter. They're both unique in their own way, and they both have a lot of good things going for them, as well as the 1929. The 1929 is probably something I'd carry with one of these two blades, like a fifth pocket and a primary carry. That'd be a really sweet little pairing there. But there you go. There's your size comparisons. I think that gives everybody a really good idea of just what we got here. And now let's get into this blade, because what we have here is an extremely attractive, one of the slickest Finch blade designs I've ever seen. A very classy clip point blade and a surprisingly nice edge. Now, I said nice because when I first looked at this knife, when you're looking at it, it just doesn't look like it has the thinnest edge in the world. And when I measured it with calipers, it came in at about 25 to 27 thousandths, which is nothing really great. It's very much average, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if they did a special little finish on this edge or what, but it cuts very, very well, surprisingly well. I wouldn't call it slicey, but it's just very smooth. It went through paper, no issue whatsoever. Of course, no burrs or anything like that, but just a very smooth, extremely well cutting edge. So I do like that a whole lot about this. It added that extra little zip to it that I was looking for. And I was very happy to find that. And it's nice and smooth throughout the whole edge too. And when you finish that little bit of swooping belly at the end, it really just finishes off your cut very well. You also have a very sturdy tip. This blade, I tell you, it's not supposed to be a real heavy user, I don't think. It can be, of course, whatever you want it to be, but when you look at it, you just look at it as a nice little utility, kind of do a little bit of everything, but not, be much of a bruiser. But this tip here, it really is a very nice user-friendly tip, when you don't have to worry too much about, snapping or breaking. Even though it does make a nice point, it still has a good amount of thickness back there. So I think there's a decent amount of stability within this tip, and just an overall solid blade that doesn't take up too much space. This is another knife. It really lives up to the name of drifter. If you're a drifter and you're wandering around from place to place, you can't carry a huge knife. I mean, you could, but you don't have a lot of space to carry stuff. So you want to maximize what you can get out of everything you're carrying on you. And this is a really good knife for that. It has the look, it has the feel, and it just carries great in the pocket, not taking up too much space. Again, you have the Finch Grip. That wins again. I feel inclined to point it out every time. With every knife with Finch, though, it gives you that extra bit of control and confidence over the blade when you're handling it. You don't have to worry about anything crazy happening. I'm a big fan of that, whether you're using your fingertip or you're just completely wrapped in around your index and putting pressure on it. You're good to go in terms of controlling the blade. Now, going into the handle and ergos, the ergos are really great on this, and I wasn't sure what to expect. I figured it'd be kind of neutral. So usually when grips are neutral like that, there's no contouring or anything. The edges are always nice and smooth on a Finch, but there's very few Finch knives that are contoured. They're just, they're good, but they're nothing special. These are a little better than good. They're definitely, they're up almost in that great category, because the way the handle kind of spreads out here, it just fills the bottom of your palm really well. And the clip, again, this is a little wider titanium milled clip. On some of the other Finch knives that have the titanium clips, they're not quite this wide. The width on this clip really helps spread out the feel of it on the back of your hand, so it feels nice and smooth, and it looks good. That titanium finish on the snakewood scales, this looks great. This is a knife that is 100% a fantastic gentleman's carry, in my opinion. Some people aren't sure about the clip point style blade, whether or not they think that is gentlemanly. I think this is an excellent gentleman's carry. With the snakewood scales, this is in the brass pivot. Love that brass pivot collar with the snakewood. That's fantastic. That looks absolutely great, and it's definitely a winner in my book in terms of a gentleman's carry. One little issue with the handle here that I wish they would have done a little better job on is the liner lock area here. You have enough room to access the liner lock. It's not that, but the actual liner itself that you use to disengage the lock, I wish it would have had kind of a little bit of a smoothness there. It's just kind of the liner continued all the way up. So it's not down. I mean, it's not like it's sharp or anything, but it doesn't have that little bit of, let's see, I think the Rhea has it. Yeah. See that there? See that little bit of, I don't know if it's called a bevel or just a flattening, but you have that little bit extra touch there on the liner lock that this one doesn't have. So it's not the end of the world, but as you can see, that's a really good comparison. You really see the difference there, and that does make a considerable difference when you're going to close it a lot, especially when we get into the action of this knife. I'll tell you why, but yeah, I wish it would have had that. It would have made closing the blade just a little more enjoyable. But outside of that, not many issues with this handle. I love the snakewood, love the brass pivots. The Finch logo goes really good within that snakewood. It looks nice and fancy. And the clip is great. It's wide. It has enough room for any type of pants pocket. And it's just a very solid handle overall that feels absolutely great in hand. Now, going into the action, arguably the best part of this knife, because it just pops out. The detent is so nice, so crisp, and this is another reason, guys, why I really do. I'm definitely a fan of Finch knives, because that you can push button the flippers, and the flippers, they have a lot of flippers in their lineup, and they push button so well. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to think. I think all of Finch knives are flippers, to be honest. I'm thinking back now and I'm trying to find one. I don't think they've ever made a thumb stud version or a thumb stud model. I don't think so. I'm sure there's probably one coming at some point, but they're pretty much all flippers. And no real issue there because you can do that. They just fly out. I mean, just listen. You can hear the crispness in the speed and the deployment. It's so good. It's just it's not something I'd ever want to change. I mean, I would like to see, like, you know, some thumb stud models and some cutout models to add a little bit more of a fidget factor to it, but that's fidgety in its own right there. It's just, it's so good. And this isn't drop shutty by any means, but you can shake it shut pretty easily. You just get past that detent ball, and it shakes shut. So I also haven't opened and cleaned this up at all. Usually you gain a little bit of smoothness and a little bit of easier action on the close when you do something like that. But regardless, this knife here, it is the total package in my opinion. It has the looks, it has the character, it has that attractive blade with a good edge. Excellent snakewood material. Love the brass pivot collar. It's just a very, very nice little gentleman's carry. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite gentleman's carries of all time. Yeah, definitely just one time. But no, I think this is. I need to go back and look at my gentleman's carries because there's been some pretty good gentleman carries come out over the past year and a half. I just had an episode a while back kind of highlighting them, so I may not do that. But regardless, if you're looking for a good gentleman's carry, guys, this is it. Or just a nice little smaller size knife in general, especially if you live in an area under 3 inches and you're dressing up a lot for work or for anything. This is a great knife for that type of occasion, and one that I would highly recommend, and I will definitely be keeping this guy around. That's the Finch Knives Drifter. Let me know what you think of this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, I'm out.